From the post-millennial, DOJ indicts 2 RT Media affiliated Russians, accuses them of laundering $10 million to conservative company Tenet Media to sow division in U.S. The DOJ alleged that the two concocted a scheme to create and distribute content to U.S. audiences with hidden Russian government messaging. Well, let me just take the word of the DOJ straight from the DOJ website. I'll issue some clarification. I have a statement on this, which I will read for you in a second. When I first learned of this story, literally, I'm skateboarding, and I get a DM from a journalist asking if I would talk about the Russian allegations or whatever, and I was like, what? I was like, what allegations? And then they sent me a tweet, and I'm like, I ain't reading that. Like, I'm sorry this happened to you or whatever. And then he said something. I'm like, dude, I have literally no idea what you're talking about. And so then I get some calls. After a conversation with a few people, I was like, all right, I'll put out a statement. And I thought it was a leaked indictment. I didn't realize the DOJ actually did a press conference on all this stuff. So then when I just corrected and changed it. And so let me read this for you, and then we'll give the context as to what this means for us and for you. I will stress that this literally has nothing to do with Timcast Media in any way. I want to make sure that's very, very clear. The Culture War podcast is a separate company that produces The Culture War, and it licensed a show to Tenet, and that was it. There's no direct connection between this and Timcast. So they say 2 RT employees indicted for covertly funding and directing U.S. company that published thousands of videos in furtherance of Russian interests. They say an indictment charging Russian nationals Konstantin Kalishnikov, 31, also known as Kostya, and Elena Afanasieva, 27, also known as Lena, with conspiracy to violate the Foreign Agents Registration Act and conspiracy to commit money laundering was unsealed today in the Southern District of New York. They're both at large. I don't know, were these people in America? The Justice Department has charged 2 employees of RT, a Russian state-controlled media outlet, in a $10 million scheme to create and distribute content to U.S. audiences with hidden Russian government messaging, said Merrick Garland. The Justice Department will not tolerate attempts by an authoritarian regime to exploit our country's free exchange of ideas in order to covertly further its own propaganda efforts, and our investigation into this matter remains ongoing. Our approach to combating foreign malign influence is actor-driven, exposing the hidden hand of adversaries pulling strings of influence from behind the curtain, said Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco. As alleged in today's indictment, Russian state broadcaster RT and its employees, including the charged defendants, co-opted online commentators by funneling them nearly $10 million to pro-Russia propaganda and disinformation across social media to U.S. audiences. The department will not tolerate foreign efforts to illegally manipulate American public opinion by sowing discord and division. Covert attempts to sow division and trick Americans into unwittingly consuming foreign propaganda represents attacks on our democracy, said Christopher Wray. Today's actions show that as long as foreign adversaries like Russia keep engaging in hostile influence campaigns, they are going to keep running into the FBI. We will continue to do everything we can to expose the hidden hand of foreign adversaries like Russia and disrupt their efforts to meddle in our free and open society. The Russian government has long sought to sow discord and chaos in the United States through propaganda and foreign malign influence campaigns. Okay, they're just repeating themselves. I will say this again. These are charges. It's an indictment. They're allegations not yet proven true. I have not spoken to any of the people involved in running Tenet, so I don't know what is going on with that company. They're going to say, well, let me try and read some of this. They deposited nearly $10 million to covertly finance and direct a Tennessee-based online content creation company. In turn, U.S. company One published English language videos on multiple social media channels, including TikTok, Instagram, X, and YouTube. Since publicly launching in or about November 2023, they posted nearly 2,000 videos and have garnered more than 16 million views on YouTube alone. Many of the videos posted by U.S. company One contain commentary on events and issues in the U.S., such as immigration, inflation, and other topics related to domestic and foreign policy. While the views expressed in those videos are not uniform, most are directed to the publicly stated goals of the government of Russia and RT to amplify domestic divisions in the United States. I mean, that's a strong opinion, but I can't speak for the people at the other commentators, so I don't know. I can only speak for what we produce on the Culture War, which is available on iTunes and Spotify. In order to carry out RT's secret influence campaign, they say these individuals posed as outside editors at the company and monitored the funding and hiring. They introduced Afanasieva as a member of the purported editing team using fake personas, Helena Shruda and Victoria Pesti. They blah, blah, blah. They say, for one example, in March 22nd, 2024 terror attack on a music venue in Moscow, Afanasieva asked one of U.S. company's founders to blame Ukraine and the U.S. for the attack, writing, I think we could focus on the Ukraine-U.S. angle. The mainstream media spread fake news that ISIS claimed responsibility for the attack, yet ISIS itself never made such statements. All terrorists are now detained while they were heading to the border with Ukraine. Didn't we say that was ISIS? We covered that.
We said it was ISIS, yeah.
Yeah, we covered that story. We said it was ISIS. And they're arguing that Tenet was saying it was Ukraine or something.
This is what the terrorist attack on October 7th.
I'm pretty sure we called it ISIS, and we were like, oh, wow.
I thought we talked about the spread of Islamic extremism in Europe, but...
Yeah. Which also is like... Anyway, so they go on to mention that $9.7 million was sent. The document names a few people, but they do this thing where they don't name the person. But if you're fans of The Simpsons, then you'll remember that episode where they said it's Principal Skinner, and he's like, a certain person has complained. We'll call her Lisa S. No, that's not good enough. We'll say L. Simpson. Yeah. And so everybody knew it was her. So when they go in this document and they basically say, like, here's a person, here's how many subscribers they have, and here's the show they produce, but we're not saying their name, you get what they're doing and why. So I got a statement for you guys. I said, my statement regarding the DOJ indictment. Should these allegations prove true, I, as well as other personalities and commentators, were deceived and are victims. I cannot speak for anyone else in the company as to what they do or what they are instructed. The Culture War podcast was licensed by Tenet Media. It existed well before any license agreement with Tenet. It will continue to exist after any such agreement expires. The only change of the agreement was that the location of the live broadcast moved to Tenet's YouTube channel. I and the Culture War never produced any content for Tenet Media. And I want to clarify that too, because I got community noted on this thing. We didn't take orders, instruction, or editorial guidance in any way. The only thing that we had was we produce the Culture War Friday mornings at 10 a.m. You can go to youtube.com/Timcast. That's where it is. But the core broadcast of the show moved from that channel to Tenet as part of a licensing agreement. So, like, if, I don't know, say CBS or some major network said, hey, we want to put Timcast IRL also on our channel at the same time slot, I'd be like, sure, whatever, pay us a fee. I wouldn't know what they were doing. I wouldn't know what commercials they were running. I don't know what they're saying. And so that's basically what we did. Now, considering this, and I don't know what is true or not, I think what is likely going to happen is that the show is just going to revert back to the same exact show that it always was. And it's going to be on youtube.com/Timcast as we do. That's the only thing I can really say. I don't know. Let me read more. Never at any point did anyone other than I have full editorial control of the show, and its contents of the show are often apolitical. Examples include discussing spirituality, dating, and video games. In fact, we had one episode called "Is Donald Trump the Antichrist, or is it Elon Musk?" Which is literally when we brought on these dudes who think Donald Trump is the Antichrist. I don't know.
Drew Tang was one of them, I think. Wasn't around for that. Yeah, Drew.
I say the show is produced in its entirety by our local team without input from anyone external to the company. The Culture War is a separate company not associated with Timcast.com or other properties. It exists solely for the production of the Culture War podcast. That being said, we still do not know what is true. These are only allegations. Putin is a scumbag. Russia sucks donkey balls. And to the journalists who wish to jump the gun, create their own narrative, or lie about what is currently going on, you can eat my Irish ass. And I will stress, I am Irish. Just because I'm also Korean doesn't mean I'm not Irish.
Is that what you community noted on? They were like, Tim Pool is not, in fact, Irish?
Well, I had people tweeting at me like, you're Irish now? I'm more Irish than I am Korean. Come on. Jeez. Anyway, Dave Rubin issued a statement. He says, statement on the DOJ indictment. These allegations clearly show that I and other commentators were the victims of this scheme. I knew absolutely nothing about any of this fraudulent activity, period. People of the Internet was a silly show covering viral videos, which ended 4 months ago. The DOJ has never contacted me regarding this matter, and I have no intention to comment further. This screenshot directly from the indictment speaks for itself. Well, for me, I'll say what I can, I suppose, but the issue really is we cover the big stories of the day, and this seems to be the one that's trending and popping up all over X. But in the indictment, it clearly points out, they say that Kalishnikov, Afanasieva, I can't pronounce that, Founder 1 and Founder 2 worked together to mask U.S. companies' true source of funding by falsely portraying to Commentator 1 and 2 that U.S. Company 1 was sponsored by a private investor named Edward Grigorian. In truth and in fact, Grigorian was a fictional persona. For example, during contract negotiations, Commentator 1 requested that Founder 1 provide a profile or article on Grigorian. In response, Founder 1 sent Commentator 1 a one-page profile provided to Founder 1 by other fictional persona purporting to represent Grigorian, falsely describing Grigorian, I guess. I mean, so the DOJ is alleging that some of these personalities, I guess, is Dave, what is this? Is Dave, what is this, a screenshot? Speaks for itself, right. So you can infer, there's a list of commentators that are included in it, and it clearly shows that the indictment's allegation, I don't know if it's true, is that the founders intentionally sought to deceive the people who were involved as talent for the company. And That's about it. I don't know what else to say about it other than welcome to the 2024 news cycle. I warned you all last year it was going to get absolutely crazy, and it's only just begun. So once again, I am suing Kamala Harris for defamation. Our legal team is working on it. I've got updates. We've got big news that's coming very soon. And then this. So I hope you're all enjoying yourselves. Buckle up. It's not close to being done yet.
It sounded like these two Russian people used fake names when they joined Tenet, when they came to Tenet. Was that what that indictment
That's
said?
what the DOJ says, yes.
So it sounds like Tenet's got defrauded by these two people as well.
There's other things in the indictment that accuse the founders of apparently being aware of what was really going on.
The founders of Tenet.
Well, it says right there in the indictment. I just read this for you. It says that founder 1, 2, and the two defendants worked together to mask the true source of their funding and tried to deceive commentators.
Okay.
So there's for obvious reasons, I can only say so much, but I can just stress the point. Culture War is going to be live this Friday morning at 10 a.m. And we're going to be discussing, I think, movies. So I don't know. I love the, what is this? Look on the right. Scandal. DOJ claims Benny Johnson and Lauren Chen are Russian agents with Natalie Winters.
I think they claim that. Did they?
Scandal is a question mark.
Yeah, that's actually not true. They claim Benny Johnson was a victim, but it's all over X or whatever, and everyone's talking about it. And I just think it's funny that they were like, it pushed Russian interests, and I'm just like, our show will be live on Friday, and we're talking about movies. I think we're talking about movie production this time. So whatever.
Man, it's a very sensitive period of human history. We're talking a little bit about the show, like the world order, the shifting of the world order. They want to like evolve the liberal economic order into a new world order that's more viable. I don't know, that's more synergistic with the way we live. That's not BRICS, because the BRICS alliance looks like a counter-imposing order. And like, how is that happening? And are people getting caught up in the psychological warfare? Obviously, if people are coming in with fake money and defrauding companies and YouTube creators.
I think it's kind of more interesting, and I'm not suggesting anything nefarious from the DOJ, but today is the first time Tim Walz is doing his solo appearances, 2 of them in Pennsylvania. Kamala Harris is up in New Hampshire talking about how she's going to help small businesses. And then we're like, hey, it's kind of a slow news day, except for this thing. Like, why is the press during the election cycle taking this off day, not covering what these 2 Democrats are talking about? Instead, the DOJ has released, it's not just this, the DOJ has a ton of things that have come out today. And it's interesting to me that, maybe it's coincidental, but also that the news media seems to have taken a pause, waited for these to come out, and then this happens to be the one that's getting big on X. Probably.
I think the funny thing is that like Dave Rubin was posting clips of just like a guy buying stuff at Taco Bell and getting mad. Like apparently his show was him just commenting on nonsense. It's just like the weirdest thing. They're like they were pushing Russian aligned misinformation. It's like I think his show was like a woman would be in a viral video throwing quarters at somebody, and then he'd be like, what are these people doing?
I wonder if there was like a message that got sent, just 1 or 2, that's like, well, what if you did a show about this thing? And that's like the real Russian op, is that they're like, why not just look at one of these maybe one day? Think about it.
Well, I can tell you that never happened here. Culture War is produced here.
Fully independent.
Fully independent.
Here in Russia.
I think I talked to Lauren Chen twice this year. So it's like
she was on the show last 8 months ago or something.
Oh yeah, we had her on the Culture War with Pearl Davis talking about dating. Mm-hmm. I don't know, dude. We have a show where we talk about cultural issues. Thank you and have a nice day, I guess. Maybe it's a slow news day and that's why. But I don't know. People are like trying to hit me up like crazy, and I'm just like, dude, I got nothing for you. I don't know what to tell you.
Does your company have a lot of investors? Do you have to vet kind of who comes on?
I'm the only guy. So
you're solo?
That's why I get to do what I want to do. And, unlike the other guys in tech, I'm the Lone Ranger in tech. All these other guys that got their VC buddies that, tell them what they want to, what they can do and can't do.
And that was like an intentional choice because...
Oh, yeah, for sure. I had a brief introduction to the world of VCs when we were first getting started. And, you don't want to be in that world.
You just came with your own money and then hit...
a friend of mine invested in the company and, he cut a check. And my early investor was 72 years old, so he wanted to exit. And, he exited on a great deal. He's still, we're still great friends. And, But I got to admit, I'm kind of jealous of your situation. I like working on fun things, and nothing seems more fun than nothing seems more fun than suing the vice president.
I mean, I don't know. It's not fun to have people messaging you about the vice president accusing you of calling for the mass jailing and execution of half the country, it's kind of a weird thing to accuse someone of wanting, especially when I'm like very ardently opposed to the death penalty. So,
that part.
I suppose the thing is like, I don't know, man. Like these things don't move the needle for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You guys ever see Office Space?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like that guy.
Such a good movie.
I'm like with the main character. What's his name? What's the actor's name?
Rob Livingston?
Was that
Ron Livingston?
Yeah, and so like he goes to the hypnotist, and then all of a sudden he doesn't care anymore, and he like shows up, and he's like, whatever, I don't care. That's it. It's like, there's a lot of people freaking out about all this stuff. I get these messages, and I'm just like laughing. I'm like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Like obviously IRL's hot, culture war is fun, but rock stardom is where we're destined for.
I like that that's your like next career move, to become a rock star. I feel like that's pretty bold. Not everyone would go that route.
So the feds are going to show up, and they're going to say, listen, you're too influential, and you're outside of our control. So what's going to happen is we're going to produce an album for you. It's going to go double platinum. It's going to be big, but you're going to resign from politics, and you're going to quit the show, and Ian's going to be like, done.
We'll call it the New World Order. It'll be so hot, dude. Let's call it Runaway Breakdown. That's what I really want to call the show.
Ian's going to knock on the door, and they'll be like,
Man,
they're going to be like, Mr. Crossland, how would you like to be a famous rock star? Just quit politics. And
I mean, I've never really been in politics. The whole purpose of why I'm even here is because I care about the truth. I want to understand what's really going on. And so I'm drawn to understanding politics. I don't want to mess with it that much.
But this is politics, bro. That's the only thing. I don't care about politics. I didn't vote for anybody in 2016. I care about what's true. And the problem is we have an entire machine state of lies. And so it's no matter where you turn, everything's a lie.
And like every government on earth is just built to lie. It's built to maintain order through deception. I mean, it's not fully deceptive. There's lots of honesty in it, but it's willing to lie to maintain order.
And the crazy thing is the quote, stop making me defend Trump trend from 2016, 17 or whatever, perfectly explains where many people ended up. I didn't care. I'm like, look, the political machine is crazy. And then I'd watch Donald Trump say something on TV, and I'd be like, how about that? Then the next day I'm talking to someone, and they'd be like, did you hear that Donald Trump said X? And I'd be like, no, he didn't. He said Y. Why are you defending Trump? What do you mean? Trump literally said the opposite of that on TV. I watched it. Why are you lying to me? And then they get mad at you, and they attack you. Then all of a sudden I'm like, okay. So I do this podcast, and I say, Trump never said that. He said this. And then they're like, you're a Russian agent or whatever. So it's quite literally, if you try to expose the lies, you're right wing.
I know. And the idea of like passively allowing the structure to deceive people to maintain order is like, it feels so sickeningly dirty.
It's not order though, dude. The Ukraine war is not order. Like,
I was listening to this interview because Zelensky has made moves into Russia now. And there was a reporter from, I would think, a totally mainstream source. I can't remember which one, NBC, ABC, whatever. And he was like, but do you think that, like, when you did this, did you give any warning to Washington, to Biden? And he was like, Zelensky's like, no, of course not. I have to be secret about these things. And the mainstream American reporter is like, but Americans feel like they're helping Ukraine defend themselves from Russia. And this doesn't really seem like what you're doing now. Like, yeah. I think there's a lot of misconception about what's going on. And I think that there may be people who are vying for power and influence in the world, but a lot of it is just chaos, like people grabbing opportunities whenever they can. I
mean, here's the question for you guys, because I pointed this out. I was telling my friends this back in 2015. Do you like that we have cheap fuel? Do you like that we don't export things, but we get access to all these things around the world? Basically, if you like the status quo, which includes the bombing of foreign countries, the military expansionism, wars without declaration, Hillary Clinton's your candidate. And you know what? You don't got to think twice. You don't got to bat an eye. You can wake up. You can go work as a receptionist at whatever business. You can get paid your salary, and you will live under the petrodollar. If you vote for Donald Trump, you're voting for hard work. You're voting for sacrifice. You're voting for better deals for this country. And that's going to have a negative impact on the liberal economic order. So the question is now, I see the Democratic establishment, the uniparty, because Liz Cheney's a part of it now too, what do the Republicans mean? Yeah, their attitude is we will remain wealthy and in control if we go to war, we blow up anybody who opposes us. Gaddafi, you want to create a union, you want to trade in gold or euro? Hillary Clinton says we came, we saw, he died. Saddam Hussein, you won't fall in line, same thing. The U.S. will go in and take out these leaders and overthrow their countries and CIA-backed coups. That is not order. That is just military might of one faction on the planet. I suppose the argument then is, do you, and I'll throw this to you guys, believe there's a possibility of stable global order in a multipolar world, meaning multiple powerful countries existing as superpowers competing for
I think there is 100%, because if the United States could do it at a state level, then yeah, like we stopped fighting. At one point we had to come together with all our differences. The thing is, we spoke the same language. That's a huge part of this system. If we really want order, de facto order, we need to understand each other. Like, that's what produces order, is the ability to understand the person sitting next to you. There's a natural order that arises from the understanding.
Well, we stopped fighting, meaning like we stopped literally duking it out on the battlefield. That's what you mean, right? Because states fight all the time. They fight for resources constantly. That's one of the reasons that I hate the overarching bureaucracy of the federal government. I mean, there's this lawsuit that the Supreme Court just weighed in on. The federal government, the Department of Health and Human Services, has said, Oklahoma, you have to, as part of your family planning resources, refer people to get abortions. And under Oklahoma state law, they're really strict. They have really strict abortions. And so Oklahoma doesn't want to do that. And so now the federal government has been like, well, fine, you can't have that money, and we're going to give it to an organization in Missouri instead. Like, it's $4.5 million. It's maybe not going to change every single thing in Oklahoma. On the other hand, there is still fight over resources. So it'd be difficult to think of a world where governments, they might have stronger diplomatic relationships, but they're always going to, in some ways, be competing over something. And in that sense, nothing stays just perfectly stable.
It's the difference of fighting and competing. And we've stopped fighting. We've started competing. And it's the same way in sports. As a kid, I used to be like, who are the Browns fighting next? And my dad would be like, they're playing them, not fighting them.
Thanks for watching this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to check out the live show Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. on this channel. Subscribe, and we'll see you all there.